Hello, and welcome back to Mark's NOTCAST. About once or twice a week, I talk utter rubbish about old pop music. Well, pop music, rock music, whatever. It's number 426 today. It is Wednesday the 5th of February, 2025. And it's been about a week since I've last done one of these. The last one I did was about Morrissey's Southpaw Grammar, a much underrated album that has aged very well. Today, because I'm a bear of little brain, yes, that's being sarcastic, I'm doing another one of my random record rummages on the grounds that I have episodes ready and prepped about lots of things, but those do require a degree of brain power I frankly just do not have at the moment. I'm working a lot, and there's some not work stuff that's taking up a fair amount of my brain power. So I thought what would be nice is, rather than getting deep undercover into an old record, is that I just get a random box of stuff and pull some things out. So rules are, of course, a 7-inch, a 12-inch or an LP, a book, a Blu-ray, a DVD, and sometimes sometimes a CD, who knows. So let's see what this is. Okay, I don't know what this is. Okay, oh, I do actually. This is Roger Moore's The Man Who Haunted Himself, this time on DVD. This is actually Roger Moore's favourite film of all the ones that he has made. This is on the now much loved and lost Network imprint, who specialised in rare, unusual boutique films and TV programmes, normally from the British canon, remastered and represented in the best quality that they possibly could be. A label that I dearly loved, spent a lot of money with, and now, of course, obviously miss as they've gone into receivership. The Man Who Haunted Himself is Roger Moore's favourite film of all the films that he made, including Cannonball Run, and it was actually a screening of The Man Who Haunted Himself at the BFI, where I met, albeit very briefly, Roger Moore himself, and he was doing a post-screening kind of interview plus Q&A from the audience. Obviously, a lot of the questions were about Sir James of Bond, and I do remember the last question he was asked was by a woman that said, "But James, I need you," to which he needed prompting that his line from The Spy Who Loved Me was, of course, "So does England." And he seemed absolutely fabulous, actually a really nice guy, and I'm very happy that he was, well, I got a chance to see an actual real life James Bond with my own eyes, is something. So The Man Who Haunted Himself is a very good film. I think it kind of follows on from the tradition of things like The Twilight Zone, Tales of the Unexpected, the Outer Limits, or whatever it's called, these type of things, about a man who split into two parts of his personality, one perhaps quite debonair, and another one less so, one that was shy versus one that was quite assertive, and how those two different parts of the personality would argue with each other and have an impact upon everybody else around them. By the way, I'm told when I do this and I yawn, it's cute, which is nice, thank you. I did just do that on the grounds that actually I woke up far too early this morning. I woke up in the middle of my third sleep cycle, and I need at least 4, otherwise I pretty much breathe fire at people. The Man Who Haunted Himself, as you can tell, is a career-defining performance as a businessman whose existence is reshaped by a malevolent force in this taut psychological thriller directed by Ealing Films veteran Basil Dearden. Made at the point in his career post-Saint and pre-Persuaders, this is the film that showcased his big screen charisma and ultimately led him to taking over the role of James Bond. Yeah, I recommend this. Very good film. Very interesting to really see his acting skills in a way that perhaps had never really been represented on screen before. Right, let's go into the box of goodies and see what the next thing is. And to be honest, I don't quite know. I'm going to find out. I only find out by going in here. So this is the CD. Oh, excellent. This is the Gossip, or Gossip as they are known, Standing in the Way of Control, the album from 2007. Yes, I have it on CD. I think this band are really underrated. I think I love the combination of sounds that you've got on this, and there are some fantastic tracks on here. Obviously, the title track itself is the one which most people will know, and I really just I like this record. It's not one that I have clung to, listen to and know inside out, but sometimes I don't. And this actually might be the first time there's been a woman vocalist on something which you've seen on the NOTCAST. So you might be thinking, oh, Mark only ever listens to things sung by dudes. No, not true. Absolute nonsense. I have, as long as I connect with the song, or the songs, that is the thing that matters. And I love this. It's just this lovely, dirty, filthy little track. And the album isn't so bad either. But I haven't heard it for a while because, as you can see, I have a lot of records behind me. And I don't spend enough time listening to them, so I don't spend enough time knowing them. And I can't really talk about them in the way in which I might want to do. Right, let's go for a 7-inch single now. One of the finest formats of history, the 7-inch single. And this is Blank and Jones, I think, and Bernard Sumner's Miracle Cure. So this is a great little lost song with Bernard Sumner from New Order, Bad Lieutenant, and the Electronics doing guest vocals on. And it was the first thing that was released after Waiting for the Siren's Call. And just a good, fun song that's actually not very well known and probably should be listened to and better known. So this is the vinyl 7-inch edition of the track. It is backed with, unsurprisingly, a 1-2 concentration mix, which I do not remember in the slightest. And I always think of this as kind of like one of those songs that could have been, as opposed to something that actually was. It could have been a great New Order track, but it isn't. It's an underappreciated gem in Bernard Sumner's small solo career, which is well worth listening to. So if you think, oh, I want something that sounds like classic New Order in the mid-2000s, this is absolutely the track to go for. Also, Blank and Jones have got a number of guest vocalists, so I did a cover version of A Forest with a new vocal and guitar by Robert Smith that's somewhere around about there behind me, which is well worth listening to. And I've done some fantastic remixes as well. Really, really enjoyed them. So yes, very good. Very nice to have. This does feature a quote on the back from William Gibson. It's impossible to move, to live, to operate at any level without leaving traces, bits, seemingly meaningless fragments of personal information, which in the age where our very personal information is in fact a currency in itself and is sold by others, is very interesting indeed. So there you are, Miracle Cure. Well worth a listen. I'll post a link up to the video in there. And that is distracting. A book. What magic book could we have? Oh, excellent. So Verse Chorus Monster by Graham Coxon, the guitarist from the Blur. And I've read this. It is, I think, what is it? The second autobiography by a member of Blur after Alex James's bit of a Blur. And I read this very recently, and I really enjoyed it. What I found perhaps most interesting about it was the way that it detailed the way that 4 disparate personalities can come together and can then fall apart very easily, and how each person inside an artistic relationship attempts to bring as much of themselves as they can to the arrangement. Obviously, it doesn't always work. Sometimes, and as Thomas Dolby said, let me guess, power and money were the big reasons why any band splits up. It's a little vague on certain things. It's a little vague, I think, on some of the personal elements of other people's lives, but quite open about his own. And as far as autobiographies go, I do kind of read it and wonder and kind of go, well, you know, is it that every human being is inherently going to struggle in some way with this thing called life? And what happens, whether working in an office or your office happens to be Wembley Stadium, or whether you experience, you know, the removal of some of the things lots of us are worried about, for example, money, food, love, self-respect, actualization, all the things that exist on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, by the way. Other people, even people that have achieved the level of success that Graham Coxon has, obviously financial security, not having to work an office job, being able to exist as a musician, follow their creative muse, etc. Experience a form of financial and egotistical success far beyond that, which most of us have during the course of our lives. The next thing that happens is, even then, is you kind of go, right, so actually being in Blur could be a job, working with people I don't necessarily or don't have to like could be a job. It could be said that there's obviously a personality clash between the members of Blur. That could be part of it. And then the other part of it is to go the knowledge that if you want to fully achieve and fully follow your own kind of feelings and ideas, would that come at a cost? Which is the eternal devil's bargain. Is, you know, that I saw the best poets of my generation turned into per day or per hour 0-hour contract Amazon workers, to bastardize the poem by Ginsberg. But also at the same point is to look at it and go, you have to come to the realization that perhaps what you really, really want to do, be a solo artist, is not something that is commercially viable. And that in itself is a quandary, is to go, all lives have a degree of compromise in them. So all lives have an element of going, well, what am I going to put up with? Who am I going to be? What shall I do versus what shan't I do? Shall I stay in Blur? Shall I leave Blur? Is it impossible for me to be in Blur? Am I drinking too much? Not that necessarily stops some people in some bands. I did see somebody in a band fall asleep on stage because they were frankly hammered, to quote the great Motorhead album. But you also get to the point where, for example, and this is the chapter here, which is called Beetle Under a Rock, opens with the lines, whilst I was sorting myself out in the Priory, the rest of Blur got well underway with work on Think Tank, and a few months after I came out in May 2002, I rejoined them in the studio and put guitars on about 4 songs. I concluded that it would be risky for me to engage in the promotion and touring of this album, although I made it clear I was there if they needed me. And then, of course, Coxon was absent from the band on the 2003 promotional run for the album Think Tank. Not my favourite Blur album at all, to be fair. Not the worst either, because I've heard Leisure. And then to kind of think about, for example, if you've got a degree of an illness or a sickness, and be whatever that is that most people, and I've tried to describe this sensitively, don't get the opportunity to say, well, I won't go into work for a bit. You know, you get sick leave, or as if you're a freelancer, you get broke. And then there's an element of going, well, actually, I'll just sit this tour out. And sometimes you need to be away from something, or to quote, you know, Ross and Rachel, we were on a break, is to get a gap away from something to appreciate what it actually is before you can take it any further. Really, really interesting. It's a dynamic that doesn't exist in most commercial workplace environments where you're a direct employee. You can't go, well, I'm not going to come in for 18 months because I don't feel like it. Because actually most people don't feel like it most days of their lives, come to think of it. So there you go. Right, short break whilst I have a drink because my mouth is parched. 3, 2, 1, and I'm back in the room. So that's your book, your 7-inch, your CD, and your first DVD. Right, so just a Blu-ray and a vinyl to go. I don't know what the vinyl is. I'm kind of guessing, but I'll find out in a bit. Oops. Excellent. This is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Includes 2 versions of Psycho. This is, I think, a 50th, 60th anniversary Blu-ray edition. And I bought this from CEX, of all places, about a year ago for £6. Don't quite know why. This features 2 cuts of Psycho. The first one, the most widely seen version, which was edited for TV and was used for theatrical re-releases. So there's 2 cuts of Psycho on here. The difference, I think, if I'm correct, is 1 shot. This is an extended version with additional footage for the first time ever. I think the extra shot is a shot of him peeping through a peephole in a bathroom or something. It's very minimal. It doesn't affect the film at all. And it also has the original theatrical cut, that's the uncut version, and then the version that was edited for TV. It also has, and there is a theory around this. Roger Ebert, one of the best film critics of all time, a man who I only disagreed with on 1 film in the course of my life, because he judges the film for what it is and not what it could be, said, actually, Psycho as a film would be much, much better if it missed the psychological explanation of events in the last scene, the courtroom scene, an explanation where some bullshit psychologist goes on about his mum and stuff, and everyone else is going, really? You didn't have to tell us that because we're not stupid. That character is referred to by Hitchcock as Vlad the Explainer, the character that explains everything that's going on. Like the bit in Back to the Future 2 where they drive back a little bit and Marty McFly goes, whoa, 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 Doc, explain to me like I'm 5 years old what's actually going on. And they draw the plot of the film onto a blackboard with chalk so that we can understand what's actually going on, because we're all looking at it and going, not quite sure here. So Psycho, yep, great film. Really, really interesting. I haven't seen the Gus Van Sant remake from 1998, although the Gus Van Sant remake is in colour and is shot for shot near enough identical. I think it features... I've forgotten his name now. That comedy bloke, who's actually very, very good. Who is Vince Vaughn. I understand his politics I disagree with, but I try not to get too involved into politics. And Vince Vaughn in that posters, in that role. Psycho is a very interesting film. I have tried to watch all of the Hitchcock movies. I have come short because some of them are just not available. And it's very, very difficult to find. But I watched all of them in order during lockdown that I was able to get. I found about 30 of them amongst various box sets. I think some of his films are fantastic. I think Family Plot is very, very good. Topaz is really interesting. Psycho, obviously. So some very, very good films in there. Some of the others, not so much. Also, by the way, in the tradition of good old-fashioned extras, remember when they put extras on disc? This features the making of Psycho, the sound of Psycho, Hitchcock's legacy, Hitchcock Truffaut interview, newsreel footage, the shower scene with and without music, the shower sequence storyboards, a feature commentary on the storyboards, and more, whatever the more is. I love DVD extras. I'm the kind of guy that can watch 20 hours of DVD extras. And my favourite boutique label is Arrow, although some of their films are not great, in so much as that they put a documentary by the cinema photographer in for zombie flesh eaters from outer space, and sit there going, and why can't somebody do this for a film that's not crap? I don't know. Anyway, Psycho, very, very good. Strongly recommended. If you haven't seen it, what planet are you on? Surely you've seen it. The other thing I do love about Psycho is that it is the first film where for the first 40 minutes you think it's one film and then all of a sudden it turns into something else. As a common now plot twist is to turn the plot inside out and to be about something else completely different. For example, From Dusk Till Dawn is a similar example. But there you are. Right, so the vinyl record. And actually, I don't know what this is. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, so you will know that I like this band. This is U2's Under a Blood Red Sky. This is the original vinyl edition from Ireland in 1983 that features Send in the Clowns. I thought, or at least I used to think, that this was this is not the original inner sleeve, by the way. But I used to think this was, the Live at Red Rocks album. This isn't. Most of this isn't recorded at Red Rocks at all. Most of this, if I'm correct, is recorded at the Rock Palace 1983 West Germany show, which features on 5 songs of this 8-song LP. And then I think one or two of the other tracks is taken from Red Rocks, and a couple of the others are taken from a show at Boston. So yeah, there's 2 tracks taken from Boston. 11 O'Clock TikTok is taken from the heavily bootlegged 1983 show in Boston, which I recently picked up a double LP of Boston for £10 from a record fair because it hadn't sold enough copies. So yes, Under a Blood Red Sky, a special low price mini album of U2 live, which was effectively the band trying to get their money back from having invested all their tour profits into filming the Red Rock show. And it really was a kind of the do or die card from Escape from Cold It's the board game, that particular live VHS. And this is, I think, so far and to date, the only officially released standalone U2 live album, which is pretty surprising given the circumstances. So the other live releases, let's go through them roughly in order, going reverse backwards chronology. The Acton 30 live album of Acton Baby, Songs of Innocence and Experience live, the Live in Berlin DVD, for example, the Live in Paris DVD, U22, and From the Ground Up, from the 360 tour, the live in, what was before that? Yeah, U2 Communication. And obviously the various other releases, Go Home, Slane Castle, all of those are fan club releases, or they're included in box sets. They're not standalone, buyable U2 live albums at all. So where U2 I think are at their best is live and on stage, but you can't actually buy a U2 live CD very easily. This is the only one that you can get on its own. It's not to say there aren't loads of U2 live bootlegs around. There's hundreds of them, thousands of them. In fact, I think I've got about 37 of them. But that's not the point. The point is, this is the only official U2 live album. And it's thoroughly okay, not amazing. But I always used to think it was Red Rocks, and it isn't. It's mostly Rock Palast in Germany in August 1983, which is very interesting. Nonetheless, if you want to get a U2 live record, well, this is the only one to get, really, unless you want to go deep into that. So that is a quick whistle-stop tour through some of the nonsense I have in my house, or more correctly, at the moment, one room in my house within arm's length. So yes, Roger Moore's The Man Who Haunted Himself, which is very good. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, that's pretty good too. Blank and Jones's Miracle Cure, a underappreciated song by the singer from the New Orders, and obviously a book by Graham Coxon, an album by U2, and a CD by The Gossip. That is my random record rummage today. Hopefully, the next time we have a chat, I'll be more focused, less tired, and possibly full of sweets. Who knows? So in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other. Quote the Tower of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other, and I will see you somewhere over the rainbow. If you're lovely, stay lovely. If you're not lovely, be lovely. It's easier that way. You'll make more friends. See you soon. Bye.